Let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer it honestly. When you stand up from your favorite chair, do your knees feel weak, shaky, or slow to respond? When you take your first few steps after sitting for a while, do you move carefully, almost waiting for your legs to wake up? When you walk up the stairs, step off a curb, or get out of the car, do you ever feel like your knees are no longer fully on your side? And maybe the hardest question of all, have you started planning your movements around what your knees might or might not let you do? If any of that sounds familiar, stay with me, because what I am about to share could change the way you think about weak knees after 75. I'm Dr. Elias Novak, and I want to tell you something that far too many older adults hear too late. Weak knees are not always just a knee problem. Very often, they are a strength problem, a control problem, a muscle problem hiding around the knee. That matters, because when the muscles around the knee get weaker, the knee starts doing more work than it was ever meant to do. Standing feels harder, walking feels less steady, stairs feel intimidating, and little by little, people begin trusting their knees less and less. But here is the encouraging part. Muscles can respond to training at almost any age. In fact, research on older adults has shown that simple chair-based strength work can improve lower body function, and a clinical trial on frail adults in their mid-70s to late 80s found that repeated sit-to-stand training improved knee extensor strength and reduced the effort needed to lower and raise the body. In another recent study, a short daily routine that included chair stands improved chair stand performance, balance, and sit-to-stand time in adults 65 and older. That means this: your body may be capable of more improvement than you have been led to believe. And today, I'm going to walk you through 5 of the most effective exercises for weak knees after 75, leading all the way to the number 1 exercise I would choose if your goal is to stand, walk, and move easier. Stay with me right to the end, because that number 1 exercise is simple, practical, requires no gym, and directly trains the exact movement that so many older adults struggle with every single day. So let's begin the countdown. Number 5, the toe raise. Coming in at number 5 is a movement that looks incredibly small but plays a bigger role in walking stability than most people realize. The toe raise is done while seated or standing with support. You keep your heels on the floor and lift your toes upward, then lower them back down with control. Why does something this simple matter? Because every safe, confident step begins with control at the front of the lower leg. That area helps you clear the foot properly when you walk. When it gets weak, your steps can become shorter, slower, and less secure. And when your walking becomes less secure, your knees often tense up and start working overtime. The beauty of the toe raise is that it is gentle. There is no pounding, no deep bend, no harsh pressure through the joint. To do it, sit in a sturdy chair with both feet flat on the floor. Keep your heels planted. Slowly lift your toes up toward your shins. Pause for a moment, then lower them back down slowly. Do not rush it. The lowering part matters. Aim for 15 to 20 repetitions. Rest briefly, and repeat for 2 to 3 rounds. If you prefer to do it standing, hold on to the back of a chair or kitchen counter and perform the same motion with both feet grounded through the heels. This exercise may not look dramatic, but it helps improve the quality of your steps, and better steps often mean less compensation at the knees. Number 4, the seated leg extension. Now let's move to number 4, one of the most practical ways to wake up the front of the thighs without asking too much from the knee joint itself. The seated leg extension is exactly what it sounds like. While sitting in a chair, you slowly straighten one leg out in front of you, hold it briefly, and lower it back down with control. This movement targets the quadriceps, and those muscles matter far more than most people realize. Your quadriceps do not just help you kick your leg out. They help you rise from a chair. They help you control your body when you sit down. They help stabilize the knee when you step, climb, and shift your weight. In other words, if your quadriceps are weak, everyday life becomes more expensive for your knees. To perform it, sit tall in a firm chair with both feet flat on the floor. Slowly straighten your right leg until it is comfortably lifted out in front of you. Hold for 1 to 2 seconds, then lower it slowly, taking your time on the way down. Repeat on the other side. Aim for 10 to 12 repetitions per leg and complete 2 to 3 rounds. If this feels too easy after a few weeks, you can add a light ankle weight. But in the beginning, body weight is often enough, especially if you move slowly and with control. The goal here is not speed, it is quality. And that matters, because after 75, the body responds beautifully to controlled strength work. Number 3. The standing side leg lift. At number 3 is an exercise that many people think is just for the hips, but it can make a real difference in how the knees behave when you walk. The standing side leg lift strengthens the muscles on the outside of the hips. Those muscles help keep the pelvis steady and help the knee track more cleanly when you take a step. When they are weak, the leg can drift inward slightly during walking, and that often creates more stress and instability around the knee. Think of it this way. If the hips do not control the leg well, the knee ends up paying the price. To do this exercise, stand behind a sturdy chair or next to a kitchen counter and hold on lightly for support. Stand tall. Keep your toes facing forward. Slowly lift one leg out to the side just a few inches. Pause briefly, then lower it slowly back down. Do not lean your body sideways to force the leg higher. Higher is not better. Cleaner is better. Perform 10 to 12 repetitions on each side and complete 2 to 3 rounds. You should feel this on the side of the hip, not in the lower back. This is one of those exercises that improves how the whole leg behaves, and when the whole leg behaves better, walking usually starts to feel smoother and more stable. Before we go to number 2, if you're finding this helpful, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future videos. I create these videos to help older adults stay strong, steady, and independent, and if that matters to you, you're in the right place. Number 2, the supported heel raise. Now we are getting into the heavy hitters, and number 2 is a movement that helps with one of the most overlooked parts of walking well: push-off strength. The supported heel raise strengthens the calves and lower leg, while also training balance and control. And that matters because every time you walk, your body needs to push you forward and keep you stable as your weight shifts from one leg to the other. When that system gets weaker, the knees often take on more strain, especially during walking, turning, and climbing stairs. To do it, stand behind a sturdy chair or at a countertop with both hands resting lightly for support. Place your feet hip-width apart. Slowly lift your heels off the floor so you rise onto the balls of your feet. Pause for a second at the top. Then lower your heels slowly back down. Aim for 10 to 15 repetitions and complete 2 to 3 rounds. If doing both feet together feels easy later on, you can progress to doing more weight through one leg at a time while still holding on for support. This movement is simple, but it helps restore that feeling of spring and control in your lower body. And when walking becomes more efficient, your knees often feel less burdened. And now, here we are. The number 1 exercise for weak knees after 75, if your goal is to stand, walk, and move easier. The sit to stand. This is the one. Not because it looks fancy, not because it is trendy, not because it belongs in some perfect gym routine, but because it trains the exact movement that determines so much of your independence. Standing up from a chair. That one action affects nearly everything. Getting off the couch, getting out of bed, getting up from the toilet, rising from the dinner table, standing after a car ride, beginning your walk with confidence instead of hesitation. And here is what makes the sit to stand so powerful. It does not isolate strength in an artificial way. It trains the body to work together. Your quadriceps, glutes, core, and postural muscles all have to contribute. It teaches strength, coordination, control, and function in one movement. That is one reason repeated sit-to-stand training has been studied in frail older adults and shown to improve knee extensor strength while reducing the muscular effort needed to raise and lower the body. It is also why chair stand performance is taken so seriously in aging and mobility research. This is not just exercise. This is independence practice. To do it safely, place a sturdy chair against a wall if possible so it does not slide. Sit toward the front half of the seat with your feet about hip-width apart and tucked slightly under your knees. Lean your chest forward just a little, press through your feet, then stand up slowly. Once you are fully upright, pause for a moment. Then slowly lower yourself back down with control. Do not drop into the chair. Lowering under control is part of the strength-building process. If needed, use your hands on the armrests or on your thighs in the beginning. There is no shame in that. Support is not failure. Support is strategy. Start with 5 repetitions. That's it. If 5 feels manageable, work toward 8, then 10. Over time, build to 2 or 3 rounds. If you are very weak right now, begin with a higher chair cushion to shorten the range. If you are stronger, you can eventually try a slower lowering phase or a brief pause just above the chair before sitting. Now let me say something important. This exercise works because it is specific. If your goal is to get better at standing, train standing. If your goal is to get better at walking, train the muscles that start the walk. If your goal is to move through life with less fear, train the movement patterns that life actually requires. That is why the sit to stand is my #1 choice. Because it is not just about the knees. It is about confidence. It is about freedom. It is about not having to brace yourself every single time you get up. And many older adults notice something encouraging once they stay consistent with it. First, standing feels smoother. Then the first few steps feel steadier. Then stairs feel less intimidating. Then getting out of the car feels easier. And one day they realize they are no longer thinking about their knees every time they move. That is a powerful change. So here is what I want you to remember. Weak knees after 75 do not always mean your best moving days are behind you. Very often, they mean your body needs the right kind of strength work. Gentle, consistent, targeted, safe, functional. Start with the toe raises if you need something extremely gentle. Add the seated leg extensions to rebuild the front of the thighs. Use the standing side leg lifts to improve leg control. Practice the supported heel raises to help walking feel stronger and more stable. And then make the sit to stand your daily priority, because that is the movement that ties everything together. I'm Dr. Elias Novak, and if you take one thing from today's video, let it be this. Your knees may feel weak, but weakness is not the same as defeat. With the right training, the body can adapt, it can strengthen, it can relearn, and it can surprise you. Of course, if you have had recent surgery, severe arthritis flare-ups, dizziness, uncontrolled pain, or major balance issues, please talk to your own doctor or physical therapist before starting a new routine. Safety always comes first. But for many people, these movements can become the beginning of something bigger. A stronger rise from the chair, a steadier walk down the hallway, a more confident trip to the mailbox, a less fearful relationship with stairs, a body you trust more than you did a month ago. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who says their knees are just too old to improve. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which movement feels hardest right now? Standing up from a chair, climbing stairs, or walking after sitting for a while? Tell me below, because your answer might help someone else feel less alone. Thank you for spending these few minutes with me today. And remember, strong movement is not reserved for the young. It belongs to the consistent. I'll see you in the next video.